Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. It's Friday, TGIF. I am excited for this young man and patient young man, I must say. Justin Breen is here. I've had to reschedule on him a few times, and he has been gracious, and I appreciate that. We're going to talk about how to build global companies. He built two in a Zoom era, and I think global is so important. It's just such a critical way for you to expand your business. It's a way a lot of people fear because of the narrative that they hear. And Justin's here to give us some information and maybe some insights and tips. So welcome, Justin. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks for calling me a young man. I'm an old soul. My father was 61 when I was born, so he'd be 106 if he was alive. So I really, kind of should be in my 80s or 70s. So old soul, turning 45 on Sunday.
Happy
And,
early birthday.
thanks. And childish mindset, maybe of a 5-year-old. So
Yeah, but they say that that's good for you to have that kind of mindset.
Well, essential. So most of the people I talk to, so most of my days spending time with my wife and children, my two young sons, who actually have more adult mindsets than I do. But so most of my days talking to the world's top entrepreneurs, and almost all of them are little kids. They're like little kids.
I think you have to have that spirit as an entrepreneur. You have to have some sort of childlike curiosity and excitement. I think people feel that, and they're drawn to that, which is, I'm sure you're going to share part of that as your story. But I want origin story. Just give them a little bit of background on you. They love to know kind of how you progressed from point A to point B. Come on in. You're good, Alex. All right, Justin, tell us.
Yeah, one, I really enjoy your interview process. I watched the interview with Kathy DeMarcos, and so she was a day later in Australia, and very early in the morning for her. So you did a good job keeping her not only awake but very involved. So that was good. I'm an hour earlier than you in Chicago. So origin story, right? And I own a global PR firm. And then created a second company, which is LinkedIn without the BS, invite only, high price point connectivity platform. But so I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years, zero business background. I don't know what an S corp is. I didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year. So 5 years ago, and you actually started this show 5 years ago, so that's interesting too.
Yes.
So I had job salary cut in half as a journalist, couldn't find a job. So incorporated April 16th, 2017. So coming up on the 5-year anniversary of that. And over the next 6 weeks, while I was working full time at half salary, reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients. So overwhelming rejection, no. But got that 5th client on June 1st, June 2nd, resigned. And then Robert Feeder, he's the top media columnist in the Midwest of the U.S., did a story. I'd started my own firm on June 5th. So that's how I started this, and now 2 global companies.
What was it? Tell people what you think the number 1 or number 1 and 2 things that they need to have in order to have that. I mean, tenacity must be in there somewhere. But
you're either born with that. I mean, you're either born someone like me, or that's so you either have that or you don't. You either can reach out to 5,000 people, be rejected 4,995 times, or you can't do that. I mean, so my father, again, he was 61 when I was born. He was a World War II hero, shot down 9 times in combat, many times without a parachute. So, and then my mom, she was 27 when I was born. And my dad, in his late 50s, was hit by a drunk driver. Drunk driver killed instantly. Dad survived, broke every bone in his body. And my mom was his nurse, so she literally nursed him back to life. So, and most of my day is talking to top entrepreneurs in the world. I still haven't met anyone with more hustle ever than my mom. So I'm just, here I am. So you're
bred in your DNA.
Well, it's that, but then so my litmus test is if any, and it doesn't happen often, but if there's an excuse is about to pop into my head, I'm thinking about my dad getting into a World War II plane without a parachute. I mean, so there's, there you go. So that's a good, and my wife and we met the day before she started medical school. So if there's anything comparable to, global entrepreneur in terms of difficulty, it's going through medical school. So there's just no excuses. I mean, at this level,
I think that's a great point, because I think People they feed into a narrative that tells them all the reasons why they can't. And you're right. I feel like there are some people who have it's just innate, and to
Yeah.
teach that can be very almost impossible. I
Well,
don't
you
think I've
no no
ever
no
been able
no
to.
no no no. Yeah. So that's I would think most people. So like I only partner with the top entrepreneurs on the planet or the ones who will make the investment to become one of those people. So make as much money as I want to, do what I like to do, what I'm good at, see my family whenever I want to. So most people would sign me up for that. But then if you're like, well, to get to that, you're going to have to overcome at least one of the following four things. Most of the people I talk to are two or three of these. And then I talk to a lot of all fours. So this is entrepreneurial. So one is bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, two, depression, three, the highest level of anxiety you can imagine, and four, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So most people, consultants, humans, whatever that is, business owners, they use those as excuses their whole life. People like me, no excuses. Figure it out. So you're either born like that or you're not. I'm very convinced of that.
Well, I agree. I think it's just not a teachable thing. And there are some people who are built to be 9 to 5 ish people. They like
100%.
2 weeks vacation. They
Yes.
like to be told what to do, and then
What's
they
my
want their
wife, by the
weekends
way? Yeah.
free. Yeah,
My wife loves that. Loves it.
it's funny because and it doesn't matter. Different kids from different families. It's just it's a born kind of
Yes.
thing, I believe. All right, so let's talk about building global companies. Global is one of those buzzwords that has been for a while, especially since the pandemic. People were looking for ways to grow their business in a non-traditional way because they had no other choice. So
Yeah.
tell us how you give us some pointers, some insights, tips on how you did that in this Zoom era.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I'm just a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur who happens to be a dad. And at least once a week, at least once, I talk to an entrepreneur who has let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from ever having a family. And I'm just not that person. I never will be. And so even well before COVID, I thought there'd be more companies like my first one, where it didn't matter how many employees you had, you didn't need a brick and mortar, it didn't matter about revenue, just mattered about, profit, creating a company based on purpose, and then collaborating with the top people on the planet. And so what happened with COVID was it certainly accelerated that. But these are things that I was thinking well before COVID started. And really what it comes down to is, and we've kind of talked about this already, but people like me are usually aliens within their own family, community, and vertical. Nobody really understands us except the top entrepreneurs on the planet. And so when I started this journey 5 years ago with zero business background, nobody understood what I was talking about. I live and grew up in the North Shore of Chicago, which is a pretty affluent area, and no one here understood what I was talking about. They were playing not to lose, safety, security, drive nice cars. But the first question is, what do you cost or charge? And I've always been fully abundant, fully investment mindset. I never understood that. So really, it came down to I had to find people who understood what I was talking about. And during this journey, I've just found that the only people that get it are these global entrepreneurs who want to change the world. So it took a couple of years to find them. But once you find them, they just introduce you to more of them because we're aliens and we like to talk to other aliens.
I feel like alien is a good way to describe it because that's how most people I can't tell you how many times I could never do what you do.
$100%.
It's a world that people don't understand if you don't have that kind of entrepreneurial drive, if you don't have
Correct.
that kind of understanding that you have to do things outside whatever box society has.
Just create your own box. Yeah. So that's what I mean. So with, most of the people you talk to, when I say you, is people like you and me. Well, it's a one-way conversation. There's no communication, and so that's what I mean. I had to find people who would actually talk back to me in a way I could communicate, and and I've really thought a lot about this because I'm a very active thinker, like not an overthinker. There's a difference between overthinkers who don't take action and then active thinkers like me who think and
Yes.
then take is fundamental. So there's an IQ, right? IQ. So that recognizes patterns, pattern recognition. So genius level, if you've taken it, I'd like to know your score, but genius level and above is 140, 140. And so that's 1% of the global population. And so I am 139. And I'm actually glad I'm 139 because 140 and aboves have a real hard time communicating with humans. And so most of my days talking to 140 and aboves, and they don't, so what I've really determined is I'm like a bridge between those people and humans. I mean, that's why it's been successful, because then I can connect other 140 and aboves to 140 and aboves.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a group of people, I've interviewed them on the show, and they come reluctantly, but they know that they want to do it or need to do it. But when they come on, it's an interesting. That's why I always try to preface it. We're just going to have a conversation,
right?
But in their regular world, the communication with what I would consider normal IQ type human beings that are below 140. They have a difficult time. It's very hard for them. So what a great way to describe it. You bridge the gap between those two types of people.
I can understand both, and not only that, but then I can immediately connect them. So it's like 140 and aboves, they're like idea all over the place. They're talking in language that I can understand. Most people can't. And then I can simplify it to human and then connect them to opportunities like this, where 140 and aboves can talk to 140 and aboves. And then it just creates this endless collaboration. And so you can't learn any of this unless you actually do it every single day. And I just do it and then learn from it.
So if somebody, which I guarantee you we have people or will when they watch the show, binge watch,
right?
If people are out there getting excited and going, God, I finally somebody who speaking my language, what is going on? Can you give them a pointer or two, or maybe a tip or two on maybe how to move to the next step, progress to a place where they can begin to grow and work within that global opportunity at their level?
Yep. Yeah, that's a good question. So my firms, we only partner with folks with these three attributes in their mindset, because I'm 100% simplifier, and then I learn the patterns, and then I do something about it, actively do something. So we partner with visionaries who live in abundance and who look at things as investments, not costs. So if anyone asks me, what do you cost or charge? I will never talk to that person again, because they're living in scarcity, surrounded by scarcity. And people who live in scarcity surround themselves with scarcity, and then they never take action. Okay, right. Yeah. So this solves the problem. I haven't done outbound anything in years, because I eliminate with my directness people that live in scarcity, people who aren't visionaries, and people who don't live in abundance, because that for me is a one-way conversation that is pointless. And by the way, being that direct allows me to just spend time with my family, which is what it really comes down to. And so we talked about, you're either born someone like this or not. I believe that. But if you are born like this, you can just work on your mindset every single day. So, I do a grateful journal to my wife every single day, what I'm grateful for her. She's a pediatrician. So if you can think of the opposite person of me, that would be my wife. 2, I run outside 6 days a week, no matter the weather condition. So we live in Chicago. So cold, hot, rain, snow, blizzard, wind. I've done that for 20 years. And then I listen to shows like this when I run. So it's good brain exercise and real exercise. And then 3, I do a grateful journal on LinkedIn every Monday through Friday, what I'm grateful for. And I have about 28,000 followers there, and I'll include this interview in that. But the reason why I do that is because when you're constantly grateful, it's very hard to be ungrateful, and it attracts other people who are grateful and who won't make an excuse. They'll just make the investment. And so in 5 years, I've had 3 billionaires who are partners, and now it's up to 9 people who are literally dirt broke, had to go into their retirement fund, take out a second credit card, take out a loan. Why? Because you don't make excuses at the highest level. You make the investment. And so if anyone who makes an excuse at this level, no excuses.
What I love most, there's so many takeaways, but you have mentioned abundance and gratitude a lot. And I think that is
number
people
one.
really do live in scarcity, and they live in fear. and you just can't operate. I don't like,
Pointless.
I have never operated like that. And I
No,
think that
no.
if you do, you're doing yourself a disservice. So what a beautiful thing that you create a LinkedIn gratitude journal that you
Mhm.
share with 28,000 followers. You all, if you're not hearing what Justin's saying, gratitude mindset, abundance, gratitude mindset, abundance, you have
Yeah.
to think like that. Justin, we have a lot of people who are asking questions, but I want you to
Oh.
follow up with those afterward, if you don't mind. Tell them how they can best reach you, reach out to you, and listen to what he said. I mean, Justin's a giving person, obviously, and a caring person, but let's not waste Justin's time.
You're not wasting my time.
What's the best way they can reach you?
Yeah, so I'll mention the company's website, which is BrEpicLLC.com. B as in boy, R-E, P as in pony, I, C as in cobra, LLC.com. And the reason I mention that is because there's a mindset scorecard survey. It takes 5 minutes, and people qualify or disqualify themselves with their own mindset. And I'm a very giving person, but only to the people who get it. So I give to the people who get it. If you don't get it, it's a pointless exercise to give because you don't get it, and then you will damage people that give to the people who do get it. So it's a point. So if you do get it, happy to give. But if you don't, then there's no reason to do it because you're not going to do anything with it anyway.
I love that. This was so enlightening for me. I loved this conversation. I think we all need a recharge once in a while, no matter how positive our or abundance mindset. And so listening to you, I'm thinking, this is good. This is good. This is what I needed to hear today. And if you're a believer in that, which I am, I feel like that was definitely a message for me, and certainly for the people who are watching. Justin, come back anytime. You are awesome and amazing. I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate your willingness to give back to the audience for those who are willing to receive it and listen to it. So Justin Breen, it's BrEpicLLC.com. It's scrolling across the bottom of your screen.
Okay.
And of course, we'll tag him, Justin, and everything. Thank you, my friend, so much for coming on the show. It was such a joy.
Great conversation, Ted. And if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network, which creates the right opportunities.
Amen to that. Follow him on LinkedIn, y'all. All right. Thanks, Justin. Everybody have a great